It is my intention to live my life on purpose. A sense of purpose is at the very top of the pyramid of self-actualization created by Abraham Maslow more than 50 years ago. Through his research, Dr. Maslow discovered that those who feel purposeful are living the highest qualities that humanity has to.
Hey there, Vision Clarity family. Quick pause because I've got something exciting to share with you today. I've discovered a program called The Language of Abundance that I believe can truly enhance our journey towards manifestation and abundance. This program is all about unlocking the power of positive thinking and attracting wealth into your life. It's simple, easy to follow, and has been praised by many for its effectiveness. Check out the link in the description below to learn more and get your hands on this life-changing tool today. Remember, we're all about growth and positivity here, and I believe this could be a great step forward for many of us. Stay blessed and keep manifesting. Now let's get back.
During the many years I've been in the fields of human development, motivation, and spiritual awareness, this is the topic that more people inquire about than anything else. I'm repeatedly asked questions such as, how do I find my purpose? Does such a thing really exist? Why didn't I know my purpose in life? Well, being on purpose is what the most self-actualized people accomplish on their life journeys. But many individuals feel little sense of purpose and may even doubt that they have a purpose in life in the first place. Feeling purposeful. In response to the question, what should I do with my life? I suggest that there's only one thing you can do with it, since you came into this life with nothing and you'll leave with nothing. You can give it away. You'll feel most on purpose when you're giving your life away by serving others. When you're giving to others, to your planet and to your source, you're being purposeful. Whatever it is that you choose to do, if you're motivated to be of service to others while being authentically detached from the outcome, you'll feel on purpose, regardless of how much abundance may flow back to you. Allow yourself to be in the feeling place within you that's unconcerned with such things as vocational choice or doing the things you are destined to do. When you're in the service of others or extending kindness beyond your own boundaries, you'll feel connected to your source. You'll feel happy and content knowing that you're doing the right thing. Outside of my chosen occupation, I feel purposeful in a myriad of ways virtually every single day. When I extend assistance to someone in need, when I take a moment to cheer up a disgruntled employee in a restaurant or a store, or when I make a child laugh who sits otherwise ignored in a stroller, or even when I pick up a piece of litter and place it in a trash can, I feel that I'm giving myself away, and as such, I feel purposeful. Essentially what I'm saying here is this. Stay on purpose by expressing the 7 phases of intention, and the details will find you. You'll never, ever again have to ask what your purpose is or how to find it. Your purpose will find you. In a previous chapter, I reviewed the obstacles to connecting to intention and pointed out that our thoughts are one of the major roadblocks. I stressed that we become what we think about all day long. What thoughts do you have that inhibit you from feeling as if you're on purpose in your life? For instance, if you think that you're separate from your purpose and that you're drifting without direction throughout your life, then that's precisely what you'll attract. Suppose instead that you know this is a purposeful universe where your thoughts and your emotions and your actions are all a part of your free will and are also connected to the power of intention. Suppose that your thoughts of being purposeless and aimless are really a part of your purpose. Just as the thought of losing someone you love makes you love them even more, or an illness makes you treasure your health, supposing that it takes the thought of your unimportance to make you realize your value. When you're awake enough to question your purpose and ask how to connect to it, you're being prodded by the power of intention. The very act of questioning why you're here is an indication that your thoughts are nudging you to reconnect to the field of intention. What's the source of your thoughts about your purpose? Why do you want to feel purposeful? Why is a sense of purpose considered the highest attribute of a fully functioning person? The source of thought is an infinite reservoir of energy and intelligence. In a sense, thoughts about your purpose are really your purpose trying to connect to you. This infinite reservoir of loving, kind, creative, abundant energy grew out of the originating intelligence and is stimulating you to express this universal mind in your own unique way. Your silent inner knowing. Esteemed psychologist and philosopher William James once wrote, quote, "In the dim background of our mind, we know meanwhile what we ought to be doing, but somehow we cannot start. Every moment we expect the spell to break, but it does continue pulse after pulse, and we float with it, unquote. In my experience as a therapist and as a speaker talking with thousands of people about their lives, I've come to the same conclusion. Somewhere, buried deep within each of us, is a call to purpose. It's not always rational, and it's not always clearly delineated, and sometimes even seemingly absurd, but the knowing is there. There's a silent something within that intends you to express yourself. That something is your soul. It's telling you to listen and connect through love, kindness, and receptivity to this power of intention. That silent inner knowing will never leave you alone. You may try to ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist, but in honest, alone moments of contemplative communion with yourself, you sense the emptiness waiting for you to fill it with your music. It wants you to take the risks that are involved and to ignore your ego and the egos of others who tell you that an easier, safer, or more secure path is best for you. My daughter Sky is an example of what I'm presenting here. Sky has known since she could first speak that she wanted to sing. It was almost as if she showed up here in the world with a destiny to sing for others. Over the years, she's sung at my public appearances, first as a 4-year-old, and then at every age up until her 22nd year. She's also sung on my public television specials, and the reaction to her singing has always been gratifying. As a student immersed in a music program at a major university, Sky studied from academic and theoretical perspectives. One day in her junior year, we had a discussion that centered on her purpose and the silent knowing she's always had. "Would you be upset," she asked of me, "if I left college? I just don't feel like I can do what I know I have to do by sitting in a classroom and studying music theory any longer. I just want to write my own music and I want to sing. It's the only thing I think about. It's what my whole life is, but I don't want to disappoint you and Mom." How could I, who tells his readers not to die with their music still in them, tell my 22-year-old daughter to stay in college because that's the right way, and it's what I did? I encouraged her to listen to the silent knowing that I've seen evidence of since she was a toddler, and to follow her heart. As Gandhi once said, "To give one's heart is to give all." This is where God exists in Sky, and in you. I did ask Sky to make a supreme effort to live her purpose by serving those who will listen to her music, rather than focusing her attention on becoming famous or making money. I said, "Let the universe handle those details." I reminded her, "You write and sing because you have to express what is in that beautiful heart of yours." I then asked her to think from the end and act as if all that she wanted to create for herself was already here, waiting for her to connect to it. Recently, she voiced dismay at not having her own CD out in the world, and she was acting with thoughts of not having a CD out in the world. Consequently, no CD and lots of frustration. I strongly urged her to start thinking from the end by seeing the studio being available, the musicians ready to collaborate with her, the CD as a finished product, and her intention as a reality. I gave her a deadline to have a CD completed that I could make available at my lectures. I told her that she could sing to these audiences as she has done sporadically in her life, as well as on my public television pledge shows. Her thinking from the end materialized everything she needed, and the universal spirit began to work with her unbending intent. She found the studio, the musicians she needed magically appeared, and a publisher agreed to produce the CD. Sky worked tirelessly day after day, singing her own favorites, as well as several that I had wanted her to sing at my appearances, including Amazing Grace, The Prayer of St. Francis, It's in Every One of Us, and her own composition, Lavender Fields, which she sings from deep pride and passion. And lo and behold, today her CD, titled This Sky Has No Limits, is now out and is being offered to the public whenever she sings at my lectures. Sky's presence on the stage with me brings so much joy and love to the presentation because she's as closely aligned with those 7 faces of intention as any human being I've ever known. Inspiration and purpose. When you're inspired by a great purpose, everything will begin to work for you. Inspiration comes from moving back in spirit and connecting to the 7 faces of intention. When you feel inspired, what appeared to be risky becomes a path you feel compelled to follow. The risks are gone because you're following your bliss, which is the truth within you. This is really love working in harmony with your intention. Essentially, if you don't feel love, you don't feel the truth, and your truth is all wrapped up in your connection to spirit. This is why inspiration is such an important part of the fulfillment of your intention to live a life on purpose. You may think it's too risky to give up a salary, a pension, job security, or familiar surroundings because of a dim nightlight in your mind that draws you to see why it's turned on. I suggest that there are no risks at all if you pay attention to that light, which is your knowing. Combine your strong knowing with the faith that spirit will provide. and you acknowledge the power of intention at work. You are a divine, infinite creation, making the choice to be on purpose and to be connected to the power of intention. It all revolves around your being harmoniously connected to your source. Again, it all revolves around your being harmoniously connected to your source. Faith eliminates the risk when you choose to trust that inner knowing about your purpose and become a channel for the power of intention. Making intention your reality. Below are 10 ways to practice fulfilling your intention to live your life on purpose from this day forward. Step 1. Affirm that in an intelligent system, no one shows up by accident, including you. Know that you are here on purpose. This is not the same as knowing what you're supposed to do. Throughout your life, what you do will change and shift. In fact, the changes can occur from hour to hour in each day of your life. Your purpose is not about what you do. It's about your beingness, that place within you from which your thoughts emerge. This is why you're called a human being rather than a human doing. Affirm in your own words, both in writing and in your thoughts, that you are here on purpose and intend to live from this awareness at all times. Step 2. Seize every opportunity, no matter how small, to give your life away in service. Get your ego out of your intention to live a life on purpose. Whatever it is that you want to do in life, make the primary motivation for your effort something or somebody other than your desire for gratification or reward. Do it from the perspective of making a difference for someone or for some cause, and let the universe handle the details of your personal rewards. Live your purpose, doing what you do with pure love. Then you'll co-create with the power of this universal mind of intention, which is ultimately responsible for all of creation. Step 3. Align your purpose with the field of intention. This is the most important thing you can do to fulfill your intentions. Being aligned with the universal field means having faith that your Creator knows why you're here, even if you don't. It means surrendering the little mind to the big mind and remembering that your purpose will be revealed in the same way that you were revealed. Purpose, too, is birthed from creativeness, kindness, love, and receptivity to an endlessly abundant world. Keep this connection pure, and you'll be guided in all of your actions. The universe will respond with the identical energy by asking you, "How may I serve you?" Step 4. Ignore what anyone else tells you about your purpose. Regardless of what anyone might say to you, the truth about your feeling purposeful is that only you can know it. And if you don't feel it in that inner place where a burning desire resides, it isn't your purpose. Your purpose is between you and your source. And the closer you get to what that field of intention looks and acts like, the more you'll know that you're being purposefully guided. You might have 0 measurable aptitudes and skills in a given area, yet you might feel inwardly drawn to doing it. Forget the aptitude test results. Forget the absence of skills or know-how. And most important, ignore the opinions of others and listen to your heart. Step 5. Remember that the all-creating field of intention will work on your behalf. Albert Einstein is credited with saying that the most important decision we ever make is whether we believe in a friendly universe or a hostile universe. It's imperative that you know that the all-creating field of intention is friendly and will work with you as long as you see it that way. Know that the universe is always willing to work with you on your behalf, and that you're always in a friendly rather than a hostile world. Step 6. Study and replicate the lives of people who've known their purpose. I've always been fascinated by Saul of Tarsus, later called St. Paul, whose letters and teachings became the source of a major portion of the New Testament. I was also deeply touched by the purposeful manner in which St. Francis of Assisi lived his life as exemplified in the novel St. Francis by Nikos Kazantzakis. I make it a point to use my free time to read about people who are models for purposeful living, and I encourage you here to do the same. Step 7. Act as if you're living the life you were intended to live, even if you feel confused about this thing called purpose. Invite into your life every day whatever it might be that makes you feel closer to God and brings you a sense of joy. View the events you consider obstacles as perfect opportunities to test your resolve and find your purpose. Treat everything from a broken fingernail to an illness, to the loss of a job, to a geographical move, as an opportunity to get away from your familiar routine and move to purpose. By acting as if you're on purpose and treating the hurdles as friendly reminders to trust in what you feel deeply within you, you'll be fulfilling your own intention to be purposeful yourself. Step 8. Meditate to stay on purpose. Use the technique of japa, which I mentioned earlier, and focus your inner attention on asking your source to guide you in fulfilling your destiny. Many people have written to me about their success with staying on purpose through the practice of japa meditation. I'm deeply touched when I read about those who use japa, or the repetition of the sound of the name of God, to help them achieve their divine mission. Step 9. Keep your thoughts and feelings in harmony with your actions. The surest way to realize your purpose is to eliminate any conflict or dissonance that exists between what you're thinking and feeling and how you're living your days. If you're in disharmony, you activate ego-dominated attitudes of fear of failure or disappointing others, which distance you from your purpose. Your actions need to be in harmony with your thoughts. Trust in those thoughts, which harmonize, and be willing to act upon them. Refuse to see yourself as inauthentic or cowardly, because those thoughts will keep you from acting on what you know you are meant to be. Being in harmony with God's will is the highest state of purpose you can attain. And as always, step 10, stay in a state of gratitude. Be thankful for even being able to contemplate your purpose. Be thankful for the wonderful gift of being able to serve humanity, your planet, and your God. Be thankful for the seeming roadblocks to your purpose. See all of the jobs, successes, apparent failures, possessions, losses, wins, everything from a perspective of gratitude. Be grateful for the opportunity to live your life purposefully, in tune with the will of the source of all. That's a lot to be grateful for. It seems to me that searching for our purpose is like searching for happiness. There is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. And so it is with living your life on purpose. It's not something you'll find. It's how you live your life serving others and bringing purpose to everything you do. That's precisely how you fulfill the intention that is the title of this chapter. When you're living your life from purpose, you're dwelling in love. When you're not dwelling in love, you're off purpose. Your goal in accessing the power of intention is to return to your source and live from that awareness, replicating the very actions of intention itself. That source is love. Therefore, the quickest method for understanding and living your purpose is to ask yourself if you're thinking in loving ways. Do your thoughts flow from a source of love within you? Are you acting on those loving thoughts? If the answers are yes and yes, then you're on purpose. I can say no more.
Thanks for watching. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you about the Language of Abundance program I mentioned earlier. It's a game changer for anyone on a manifestation journey. Simple, effective, and designed to help you attract prosperity. If you're ready to take your journey to the next level, click the link below. Remember, we're all about positivity and growth here. So let's keep manifesting and creating the life we desire. Until next time, stay blessed and keep your vision clear.
Life is eternal. We all live on a stage where many infinities gather. Just take a look outside tonight and contemplate the infinity of space. There are stars so distant from you that they're measured in the distance that light travels in an earthly year. Beyond those stars that you can see are endless galaxies that stretch out into something we call eternity. Indeed, the space that you occupy is infinite. Its vastness is too huge for us to see. We are in an infinite, never-ending, never-beginning universe. Now pay close attention to this next sentence.
Hey there, Vision Clarity family. Quick pause because I've got something exciting to share with you today. I've discovered a program called The Language of Abundance that I believe can truly enhance our journey towards manifestation and abundance. This program is all about unlocking the power of positive thinking and attracting wealth into your life. It's simple, easy to follow, and has been praised by many for its effectiveness. Check out the link in the description below to learn more and get your hands on this life-changing tool today. Remember, we're all about growth and positivity here, and I believe this could be a great step forward for many of us. Stay blessed and keep manifesting. Now let's get back to our session.
If life is infinite, then this is not life. Really let these words sink in. If life is infinite, then this is not life. We can see this in everything that we scrupulously observe. Therefore, we must conclude that life, in terms of our body and all of its achievements and possessions, which without exception begin and end in dust, isn't life itself. Grasping life's true essence could radically change your life for the better. This is an enormous inner shift that eliminates fear of death. How can you fear something that doesn't exist? And connects you permanently to the infinite source of creation that intends everything from the world of infinite spirit into a finite world. Learn to be comfortable with the concept of infinity and see yourself as an infinite being. Your fear of the infinite. We are all in bodies that are going to die, and we know this, yet we can't imagine it for ourselves, so we behave as if it weren't so. It's almost as if we're saying to ourselves, everybody dies but me. This is attributable to what Freud observed. Our death is unimaginable, so we simply deny it and live our lives as if it weren't going to die, because of the terror that our own death instills. As I sat down to write the chapter on infinity, I said to a friend that my goal was to leave the reader, and you, the listener, with a complete absence of the fear of death. Let me know if it touches you in that way, even on a minor scale. Your own death. Essentially, there are 2 points of view regarding this dilemma of your own death. The first says that we're physical bodies that are born and we go on to live for a while, and then ultimately we deteriorate. Our flesh wears out and then we die and are dead forever. This first perspective, if you embrace it either consciously or otherwise, is terrifying from our alive point of view. Unless you embrace the second point of view, it's completely understandable that you would fear death. Or you may welcome it if you hate or fear life. The second point of view says very simply that you're eternal, an infinite soul in a temporary expression of flesh. The second point of view says that only your physical body dies, and that you were whole and perfect as you were created, and that your physicalness emanated from the universal mind of intention. That universal mind was and is formless. It's the pure energy of love, beauty, kindness, and creativity, and it can't die since there are no forms involved. No form, no death, no boundaries, no deterioration, no flesh, no possibility of it wasting away. Thus, spirit is present in its entirety everywhere, which includes you. You can never be separate from it. You'll learn to laugh at the absurd idea that you could ever be separate from the universal mind. It's your source. You are it. God is the mind through which you think and exist. It's always connected to you, even if you don't believe in it. Even an atheist doesn't have to believe in God to experience God. The question then becomes not whether your body is going to die, but rather on what side of infinity do you wish to live? You have 2 choices. Either you live on the inactive or the active side of infinity. In either case, you have an appointment with infinity, and there's no way to avoid it. Your appointment with infinity. Eternity is now, right here. You're an infinite being. Once you get past the fear of death as an end, you merge with the infinite and feel the comfort and relief that this realization brings. We identify everything in this material world through a space-time continuum. Yet infinity has no preference for time and space. You aren't the elements that make up your body. You merely make use of the elements. You go beyond space and time and are merged with the infinite universal mind. If you haven't recognized it, it's because of your fear. You can keep your appointment with infinity while you're in your temporary body with its slavish adherence to time and space. My objective in this chapter is to help you to realize and do this. If you make this merger, I assure you of a life without fear of death. When your infinite soul leaves the body, it's no longer subject to the constraints of time and space. Separation can no longer interfere with you. So my question to you isn't about whether you believe you have an appointment with infinity. It's about when you're going to keep that inevitable appointment. You can either do it now while you're still alive in your body in the illusion of time and space, or you can do it at death. If you decide to make your appointment with infinity while you still live and breathe, it's like learning to die while you're alive. Once you make this transition to the active side of infinity, your fear of death dissolves and you laugh at the folly of death. Understand your true essence. Look death squarely in the face and break the shackles of slavery to that fear. You do not die. Announce it. Meditate on it. Look at it from this angle. If you're not an infinite being, what would be the purpose of your life? Surely not going through the motions of being born, working, accumulating, losing it all, getting sick, and dying. By waking up to your infinite essence and staying connected to the seven faces of intention, you begin to free yourself of the limitations your ego has placed on you. You set in motion the guidance and assistance of the infinite universal mind to work with you. And most of all, you feel the peace that overtakes you when you expel your fear of death and mortality. I'm touched by the stories of great spiritual teachers leaving this earthly plane feeling blissful and fearless. They banished all doubt, extricated all fear, and met infinity head-on with grace. Here are the final words of a few of the people I've long admired. The hour I have long wished for is now come. Teresa of Avila. Let us be kinder to one another. The last words of Aldous Huxley. If this is death, it's easier than life. The last words of Robert Louis Stevenson. This is the last of earth. I am content. John Quincy Adams. I shall hear in heaven. Ludwig van Beethoven. Light, light, the world needs more light. Johann von Goethe. I am going to that country which I have all my life wished to see. William Blake. It's very beautiful over there. Thomas Edison. Ram, Ram, Ram. God, God, God. Mahatma Gandhi. Why not write your own final words now and make your transition to being an infinite being while you still occupy your body? As you consider your appointment with infinity, look at how most of us live our lives. We know we're in a body that's going to die, but we behave as if it's not going to happen to us. This viewpoint is from the inactive side of infinity, where we don't see our connection to intention and our ability to stay in harmony with our creative spirit. Let's examine the essential difference between keeping your appointment with infinity now or at your own death. In one case, you'll be on the active side of infinity, and in the other, you'll avoid it by being on the inactive side. The active versus the inactive sides of infinity. On the active side of infinity, you're fully cognizant that you're in a body that's going to die. Furthermore, your inner knowing is that you aren't that body, its mind, or any of its achievements and possessions. On this active side of infinity, you are first and foremost an infinite spiritual being having a temporary human experience, and you do all of your living in all of your relationships from this very perspective. On the inactive side of infinity, your experience of life is quite the opposite. Here, you're first and foremost a human being having an occasional spiritual experience. Your life is guided by a fear of death, a separation from others, a competitive style, and a need to dominate and be a winner. The inactive side of infinity separates you from the power of intention. Here are some of the distinctions that I see between those who live in the active side of infinity and those who deny their eternal nature and opt for the inactive side of infinity. A sense of destiny. In the active side of infinity, your connection to intention will no longer be thought of as an option, but as a calling that you must heed. The inactive side of infinity leads you to see life as chaotic, purposeless, and meaningless, while your position on the active side of infinity leads you to fulfill a destiny that you feel deep within you. Your sense of destiny lets you know that you're playing this game of life on the active side of infinity. Prior to accessing your sense of destiny, your motivation was what you wanted out of life and what you'd like to do. On the active side of infinity, you realize that it's time to do what your destiny intended you to do. Wallowing around hoping things will work out, waiting for your luck to change, and hoping others will come through for you no longer feels right. Your sense of destiny allows you to realize, I am eternal, and that means that I showed up here from the infinitude of spiritual intention to fulfill a destiny that I must act upon. You begin stating your objectives in the language of intention, knowing they'll materialize. You enlist the power of intention to keep you on track. It can't fail because there's no failure in the infinite. This 13th century poem may inspire you to know you have a destiny. You were born with potential. You were born with goodness and trust. You were born with ideals and dreams. You were born with greatness. You were born with wings. You are not meant for crawling, so don't. You have wings. Learn to use them and fly. That's Rumi, one of my very favorite poets. If Rumi had composed his poem from the inactive side of infinity, his words might be more like the following, quote, You are an accident of nature. You are subject to the laws of luck and chance. You can be pushed around easily. Your dreams are meaningless. You are meant to live an ordinary life. You have no wings, so Forget about flying and stay grounded. A sense of the possible. Creation acts upon the everlasting possibility that anything that is thought of can be. Consider some of the numerous great inventions which we take for granted today. Airplanes, electric lights, telephones, television, fax machines, computers. They're all the result of creative ideas by individuals who ignored the ridicule they encountered while they stayed focused on possible rather than impossible. In other words, a sense of the possible grows in the fertile terrain of the active side of infinity. The power of intention involves staying on the active side of infinite possibilities. George Bernard Shaw, who was still creating into his 90s, has been quoted as saying, "You see things as they are and you say why, but I dream things that never were and I say, why not?" Think of Shaw's words as you practice staying on the active side of infinity and seeing the infinite possibilities that are available to all of us. A sense of awe. You have to admit that just the concept of infinity is awesome. No beginning, no end, everywhere at once, no time, and all of it here and now. The fact that you're a part of this infinite universe and that you emerged into the finite is mind-boggling. It defies description. The active side of infinity inspires a sense of awe. When you're in a state of awe, you're in a persistent state of gratitude. Perhaps the surest way to happiness and fulfillment in life is to thank and praise your source for everything that happens to you. Then, even when a calamity arises, you can be assured that you'll turn it into a blessing. By giving authentic thanks for all the good you now have, as well as the challenges, through this magnetism, you'll start the flow of more good into your life. Every successful person I know is grateful for everything they have. This process of giving thanks opens the door for more to come. It's how being an active infinity works. Your sense of awe at all of the miracles you see around you allows you to think, see, and live more of these miraculous occurrences. In contrast, a state of ingratitude stops the infinite flow of abundance and health. It's a door closer. A sense of humility. The active side of infinity fosters a sense of humility. When humility enters your soul, you know that you're not alone in this world because you sense the heart of the power of intention, which is in each and every one of us. To quote the Talmud, "Even if you be otherwise perfect, you fail without humility," unquote. When you embrace the active side of infinity, you're looking at something so enormous that your little ego is dwarfed in the process. You're looking out at forever, and your little life is but a tiny parenthesis in eternity. One of the reasons for so much contemporary depression and ennui is the inability to see ourselves connected to something greater and more important than our own puny egos. Young people whose primary focus is on their possessions, their appearances, their reputations with their peers, in short, their own egos, have very little sense of humility. When the only thing you have to think about is yourself and how you appear to others, you've distanced yourself from the power of intention. If you want to feel connected to your own purpose, know this for certain. Your purpose will only be found in service to others and in being connected to something far greater than your body, mind, ego. A sense of generosity. If asked, "Why do you give us light and warmth?" I believe that the sun would answer, "It's my nature to do so." We must be like the sun and locate and dispense our giving nature. When you're on the active side of infinity, giving is your nature. When you're on the inactive side of infinity, you view life in terms of shortages, and hoarding becomes a way of living. Generosity, as well as the inclination to reach your intentions, is lost when you think in these terms. If you can't see an infinite universe with infinite supply and infinite time and an infinite source, you'll be inclined to hoard and be stingy. The power of intention is paradoxically experienced through what you're willing to give to others. I love Swami Sivananda's advice, and I encourage you to consider it here. Everything that he suggests, you own in infinite amounts. He put it this way: the best thing to give your enemy is forgiveness. To an opponent, tolerance. To a friend, your heart. To your child, a good example. To your father, deference. To your mother, conduct that will make her proud of you. To yourself, respect. To all men, charity. Make giving a way of life. It is, after all, what source and nature do eternally. I've heard it said about nature that trees bend low with ripened fruit, clouds hang down with gentle rain.
Thanks for watching. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you about the Language of Abundance program I mentioned earlier. It's a game changer for anyone on a manifestation journey. Simple, effective, and designed to help you attract prosperity. If you're ready to take your journey to the next level, click the link below. Remember, We're all about positivity and growth here. So let's keep manifesting and creating the life we desire. Until next time, stay blessed and keep your vision clear.